Hello, this is Tony Heller from RealClimateScience.com, setting the record straight about climate. If I was Greta Thunberg's teacher, she wouldn't be scared and she would be in school. 16-year-old children should be in school, getting an education and enjoying their friends. They should be preparing for their future. They should not be used for propaganda by the adults around them. I spent 3 years teaching high school science at a boarding school in Arizona, which was specifically set up for troubled children like Greta. I'll talk more about that later, but first I want to show you what I would be teaching Greta if I was her teacher. I would teach her that as greenhouse gases have increased over the past century, global death rates from natural disasters have gone way down. I would teach her that as greenhouse gases have increased, global life expectancy has increased tremendously. I would teach Greta that crop yields have increased tremendously as greenhouse gases have increased in the atmosphere. I would teach her that Earth has gotten much greener as greenhouse gases have increased, and that's a good thing. I would teach her that plants can't grow without greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide, and water. I would teach her that life on Earth grew at its fastest rate when carbon dioxide was at its peak 540 million years ago, and that was much higher than it is now. I would teach her that life thrived on Earth when greenhouse gas levels were much higher in the atmosphere. I would teach her that science is a beautiful thing and it's not something to be scared of. I would teach her that scientists get things wrong all the time. When I was her age, we were being warned about a new ice age. I would teach her that when I was her age, the United Nations was warning that global cooling was going to cause entire nations to disappear from the face of the earth. I would teach her that long before she was born, the United Nations said that we had to solve global warming before the year 2000. I would teach her that climate alarmists predicted Europe would be a Siberian climate by the year 2020. I would teach her that back in 1878, 50 million people died in a drought and famine, and that had nothing to do with carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere. I would teach her that back in 1916 she couldn't have gone to school. The schools were closed because of a massive outbreak of polio. These children had their future ruined by polio, and Greta should appreciate the good health she has. I would teach her that in 1918, 20 to 40 million people were killed by the flu. I would teach her that 100 years ago, 200 million people in Europe faced starvation. I would teach her how lucky she is that she doesn't have to face all of these calamities of the past and what a charmed life she's living. But most importantly, I would teach her to enjoy life. When I left the school in Arizona 30 years ago, my students made a scrapbook of some of our adventures. These are the kinds of things which children Greta's age should be doing. They should be having fun. We had a blast at that school. Besides being the science teacher, I was also the soccer coach and the athletic director. We were always playing soccer, going out on field trips. One of the most fun things we did was this camping field trip up to Lake Powell. The kids were always having a blast. Most importantly, I taught them an appreciation of nature. I ran into these twins in Scottsdale about a year ago. They will be 50 years old in a few weeks, but they told me that they still remember almost everything I taught them. Now let's compare their life to Greta's life. Greta's parents won't allow anyone to tell her good news about climate or nature. Public schools also won't allow students to hear any good news about climate or nature. And journalists won't allow people to hear any good news about anything. We have institutionalized child abuse. It permeates politics, the press, the schools, and many parents. Voltaire said, "He who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities." And that's exactly what's going on here. The absurdity of global warming alarmism is causing atrocities against children like Greta. It's long past time to put an end to this child abuse and insanity. Visit Toto on the web at realclimatescience.com. He's been pulling back the curtain on junk science and propaganda for a long time.